the daily life of Versailles was not always joyful. At times, there were also everyday embarrassments. For example, in winter it was so cold in the palace that all masses were held for no more than half an hour. Some of the fireplaces did not work, and the wind chilled the aristocrats to the skin. In such a case, many would wait for the warmth in summer to arrive, but there were problems of their own. The huge Versailles garden was King Louis XIV's outlet. Melons and grapes grew in the royal vegetable garden. The creator of the kitchen garden or orchard and its manager until 1688 was de la Cantini. He adored his profession. He considered it the most beautiful thing in the world. It entirely filled his life, his thoughts, his time. He would not trade it for the French and Navarre crowns and sincerely believed that there was no greater bliss for a man than to nurture chicory and tend fruit trees. The Queen of French Gardens, in his opinion, is the winter variety of Père Good Christian. Louis XIV loved his garden and fountains. Orange blossom essence was added to the fountains. The king liked the smell of orange blossoms very much. The gardens of Versailles are some of the most impressive in the world. The gardens contained 600 fountains, 55 ponds, and 372 statues. Gardeners spent years planting rare plants and trees in the garden. The garden even had rare coffee trees. The king had a peculiar preference for fragrances. Over time, Louis's preference was for heavier scents such as tuberose, narcissus, jasmine, or orange blossom. The Marquise de Maintenon complained about the scent of tuberose in her letters. She wrote that tuberoses force us to leave the Trianon every evening because the pungent odor makes men and women feel ill. The Duke of Saint-Simon wrote in his memoirs that he noticed the king and his entire court forced to leave the garden because of the tuberoses. Their fragrance was so strong that no one could bear it in the garden, which was very spacious. Some courtiers fainted. Therefore, in the 18th century, the fragrance of the flowers in the Trianon did not make the guests of the palace feel very well. Dizziness and fainting from the heavy fragrance of the flowers was normal. Members of the royal family and aristocrats did not hint to Louis to plant flowers of a more neutral scent next season, but all was in vain. The king loved his garden and the fragrance. However, the king did not like the pungent odor of perfume on his courtiers. Madame Elizabeth Charlotte, Duchess d'Orléans, wrote that nobody at court used perfumery except that old woman, Madame Maintenon. Her gloves were always scented with jessamine. The king could not bear scent on any other person and only endured it in her because she made him believe that it was somebody else who was perfumed.